Sunday marked the 4th anniversary of what's been called the worst man-made environmental disaster in U.S. history. It was April 20th, 2010, when an explosion and fire on BP's Deepwater Horizon drilling platform killed 11 workers and caused more than 200 million gallons of oil to spew into the Gulf of Mexico. Today, oil continues to wash up on some of the beaches of Louisiana, despite claims made by Gulf Coast residents featured in BP's television advertisements like this one.
Yeah, last summer I saw certain spots where oil would pool up on the beaches, on the shores, and we saw cleanup crews every day. In my opinion, they've done a good job.
It's as good as it's ever been. I've been here since 1991, and I've never seen our beaches look better.
I honestly kind of expected our beach to be messed up for a while and really to see the effects of it, but it's nice and clean, as you can see.
That's an ad by BP. The oil company says it spent more than $14 billion responding to the spill and cleaning the coastline, and it recently announced it's ending its active cleanup in Louisiana. Similar operations ended last summer in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. Meanwhile, last month, the Environmental Protection Agency lifted a 2012 ban excluding BP from new federal contracts. The ban was put in place after the EPA found the company failed to fully correct problems that led to the well blowout in 2010. BP had sued to have the suspension lifted. The consumer advocacy group Public Citizen said in a statement the settlement, quote, lets a corporate felon and repeat offender off the hook for its crimes against people and the environment. Just days after the ban was lifted, during an auction in New Orleans, BP bid $42 million to win 24 new leases in the Gulf of Mexico. Well, in a broadcast exclusive, we're joined now by Elizabeth Birnbaum. She was director of the Minerals Management Service at the time of the Deepwater Horizon blowout. She's now a consultant at SEB Strategies. She recently co-wrote an op-ed for the New York Times headlined "The Deepwater Horizon Threat," where she expresses concern that, quote, the risk of another blowout is real. Offshore wells have lost control several times in the last year, she said. This is Birnbaum's first broadcast interview since she left the Department of Interior shortly after the BP spill. She's joining us from Washington, D.C. Liz Birnbaum, welcome to Democracy Now! Talk about this risk you have written about 4 years after the BP spill.
Well, after the spill, there were a number of investigative reports by various experts looking at what had caused the spill and how it might be prevented in the future. One of the key reports was done by the National Academy of Engineering. Experts on engineering looked at all aspects of what had caused the spill, and they looked at the decision-making on the oil rig, which had led to loss of control of the well. But they also looked at what happened with the blowout preventer. The blowout preventer is a huge piece of equipment that sits on the seafloor, and it's designed to do what its name says: stop a blowout as it comes up the well, be able to cut off any oil and gas coming out of the well. What the National Academy of Engineering found was that the blowout preventers aren't actually well engineered to do that, and they found a number of failings within the blowout preventers. The administration has several times indicated that they were going to adopt new regulations to require blowout preventers that would actually prevent this kind of an accident. But in fact, they've never even put out a draft regulation, and it's now 2.5 years since we heard from the National Academy of Engineering.
And your response, Liz Birnbaum, to the EPA lifting that 2012 ban on BP getting new federal contracts, they just bid for a bunch more?
I believe that EPA is bound by some federal laws that allowed BP to go back into the business. However, there are ongoing concerns about BP's practices over the years. They were, of course, involved in the major Texas chemical plant incident previously, and so there are a number of questions about their business practices, and certainly it deserves a good look.